Hello and welcome to the Moms Who Know podcast. I'm your host, Chanelle Neilson, and I'm way excited about today's call with Leta Greene. Leta, thanks so much for being here.
Of course, I'm super excited about it too. I love moms because I'm a mom.
Yes, she is not only a mom, she is hotness personified. So what you need to know about Leta is if you look her up, you will find all the word hotness associated with Leta. And I love it so much. I love that you just own it. So let me tell you a little more. Leta is an international speaker and author. She inspires each of us to embrace what makes us individually hot and amazing. She's an image consultant, a makeup artist, and she's been doing that for almost 20 years. She helps clients to not only look their best, but to feel their best in the workplace. And her message is one of honoring yourself through being authentic to who you are. And she does that through humor, stories, and a new way of seeing the everyday. She's a mom of 3. And she says this, I love this. Her kids and hubby bring it home for her. Anytime she thinks she is too cool, it's time to cook dinner. They help her keep it real, but she's still hot. I love it. It's so true. Anytime we think like, oh yeah, look at me. Yeah, come cook dinner. Or in my case, go change a diaper or whatever. Do the mom stuff.
Throwing up somewhere.
Or throwing up. Exactly.
You're like, I'm pretty hot stuff. And then you're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This is my
I'm a mom. Yeah, exactly. So, Leta, you were recommended to me by a listener, and I just want to throw out, I love it when listeners make recommendations because I didn't know, Leta, I had not heard of you previous to this. And then after this recommendation, I went and read some of your stuff. I watched your TED Talk. I listened to another podcast you had been on, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this lady. And then I kind of wrote you a love letter. I feel like that letter, it was a little mushy. Like, Leta,
my heart.
Leta, I have to have you on the show. Actually, I edited myself out a little bit there because it was even more mushy before I sent it.
Who doesn't love that?
Yes, that's good. Yeah, but I didn't want to cross from love letter into stalking territory, so I toned it down a little. Yeah,
that's true. I do delete people who misunderstand what hotness means.
That's true. That could be a problem.
Yeah, yes. It's the boundary.
So let's start there. Let's start with hotness. How did you come to realize your true beauty and your hotness?
Well, like all of these listeners, they can't see me, so they don't know that I'm not, a size 2 bombshell with, everything perfectly plump in all the right places. I am a normal mom who has the 3 C's, which, padding to my stomach is, children, cheesecake, and chocolate, and I meant every piece. I was just talking to my daughter the other day, and she goes, "Mom, why do you make the joke that I'm sad that I didn't inherit your triple chin?" I'm like, "Sweetie, it's a double." But she's like, "No, Mom, it goes all the way down." I'm like, okay, let's work on our bluntness, So I got to explain to my daughter, the humor of irony,
Yes.
But that everyone knows she's not sad. She didn't get my double chin or triple chin, which, I'm just a normal woman with, the bumps and bruises of life and a normal body type. And, the thing is that does not diminish my beauty, my purpose, my ability to connect with other people. It is simply a reflection in a mirror that can be changed by how I choose to think about me. So in explaining that, an anorexic looks in a mirror and she sees a woman that's so thin, that's so fat that, she will deny herself food. But in contrast, we know that she's so thin that she has a medical problem. But she believes she's fat because of what she's repeatedly told herself. And so conversely, if we start to see our image, start to see who we are through more divine eyes, I call it the source of awesome, we will start to see our real potential and value, and our body image, the reflection in the mirror becomes truly hot. And I have a whole story of how I realized that I was not the toothless teenager that had, scars and a double chin, but, was truly a true hottie. Took me time, but I figured that out.
Yeah, I think it takes us all time. I just want to point out that's another one for keeping it real, for your daughter to say, Mom, I don't, whatever she says, joking about your triple chin, but kids just point out all those things and you definitely keep it real. Well, tell us a little bit more then about, I don't know how much you want to go into that story, but we'd love to hear it about when you were
we've
younger.
only got 30 minutes, so it's like, oh, so much, a little time.
Yes.
So when I was 15 years old, I moved to a new town and I thought this is a great chance for me because nobody in this town knows how ugly and dumb and stupid I am. I can fake it, right? Become a new person. But at 15, having all the confidence of a normal 15-year-old,
right.
a little bit less than that, I have to stand up in front of this classroom. And I had made a determination that I would never stand in front of a group of people ever. Which, is funny when I'm now a speaker, people pay me to talk.
Right.
Obviously I stand in front of people all the time. But at that point, I had made this determination because of earlier experiences. And I have to introduce myself and the whole entire room starts laughing. They're all laughing. They're all laughing. And it took me a little while, but the reason they were laughing was not because of my awkwardness or my severe ugliness or the lack of front teeth that I had from a bicycle accident or my red rashy skin or my extra buff muscles. They were laughing because my first name is Leta, my last name before I got married. Sorry to ruin the story, but unlike what grandmother said that nobody would marry me, I did find someone who would marry me, who's a good guy. That my name was Mon, so my name was Leta Mon.
Lead them on.
As in lead them on.
Yeah.
And that wasn't really funny to me to have a porn star name,
right.
Works the corner. And my mother, of course, was horrified. And she's like, okay, you're going to go to school tomorrow as Francis. And I did not feel that my mother understood the gravity of the situation. And I was laying in bed that night and I was bitter. I wasn't just bitter because I was a pun. I was bitter because of everything that had happened at that point in my life to that time. And I had had some hard things where I had not been protected. And, for those that have had similar experiences where they've not been protected, they know what I'm talking about. And I felt damaged and I felt broken and rejected and forgotten. And I started having a conversation with my God that did not involve thee and thou language. I was angry with him. And I was telling him that. When I speak to the youth, I love to point out to them that the good news is I was talking to God.
Yeah.
And he wants our frustrations, our hurts, our pains, our fears. He wants all of it, not just our beautiful formal, we thank thee for this. He wants all of that. And often when we're angry or hurt, the last thing we do is go talk to him. And I don't know why I was fortunate enough to have that idea that I should talk to God, but I did. And this line came to my mind, very clear. I can tell you everything in detail about where I was, how this happened. But it said, you need to practice a new way of thinking of yourself. Now, everyone out there has heard about affirmations and all that kind of thing. But as a trucker's daughter living at the time in Blanding, Utah, I had never heard anything like this before. Practice a new way of thinking of myself. And this line, everyone in this room loves you. So I went to school the next day. In fact, I went to bed that night thinking everyone in this room loves me. Even though it took me years to realize the irony of that I was in a room all by myself. And I did not love me. So there was a problem there that I had to work on, right? And nobody can give that to me. I have to work on that myself. I have to start seeing my awesome through God's perspective and not the perspective of everyone else who also is broken.
Yeah.
Because up till then, I had allowed my self-talk to be things like grandmommy that would say nobody, I wasn't attractive enough to attract a mate. And, I was told I was fat and that I was ugly and I had an unfortunate personality and, all these different kinds of things. I had adapted and believed them because they were told to me by an authority figure. And I struggled just enough in school that I thought I was stupid. Come to find out I have ADD and my brain has lots of things to do and not always what's being formally taught to me. But these things you don't know when you're a kid. So they become your self-talk. So at 15, this concept of everyone in this room loves you, I walk into school the next day repeating that to myself. Within 2 weeks, I was voted the freshman spirit queen, which, blew my mind that there had been no improvement in my wardrobe or anything like that. But simply I just started thinking something better about me, and I became more attractive. And after a year of living in Blanding and moving back to where I'd lived before, kids that had teased me, one boy in particular was now asking me out, which I did not go out with him because I knew he was a poopy pants, He's the,
if he was teasing you, he doesn't deserve you, but yes.
Right. So, which developed one of my rules for life was if he can't treat all girls with respect, then I won't go out with him.
Very good.
And I've teaching my son that as well. But I had to learn a whole new way of looking at what's in my brain. Now, 80% of what we naturally think is negative. And the scriptures talk a lot about the natural man. I like to talk about the natural chickie babe, right? That we naturally will just think what those magazines have thrown out, what people and their other poopy talk will throw out on us. And I apologize for my very startling language of using the word poopy, but sometimes things just have to be said, for what they are.
But no, I am a mom of 4 boys, so your poopy talk does not scare me a bit. So.
It does startle people sometimes at business meetings, because it's so shocking. But that I just started changing and adapting what I naturally thought about and moving things into my life that were on purpose and were more to my purpose, even though I didn't have a full idea of what that was. And I become someone that thinks very positive about myself. In fact, even with my, normal body, that women will be like, you're not really that hot. I'm like, oh, wait till you get to know me. I am. Because I think good things about me. And it is not a competition with any other woman. It is actually giving other women permission that even if you too are not perfect, even if you too have had the doctor remove a baby from your abdomen, that you are beautiful and you are hot and you are everything perfect and wonderful that you are meant to be. And you're becoming even more of that person. But right now, in this moment, you are enough. Right now, you're enough. And we are learning line upon line, again, as the scriptures say. But God has not asked us to be perfect in this moment. If God thought perfection was possible, why would he send his son to redeem us?
There you go.
And going even deeper, the concept of obtaining perfection is not one created by God, but one created by he who is poopy, who wants everything to stink, to hold us back and make us not think we're good enough.
Yes. Oh, I love all that so much. And I think that I've seen that in my own life where, after I had my 5th baby, I don't know why. I guess, just finally I got to this point to, I don't know that I'm the full level of hotness of, I don't know that I am like believing that and telling myself as much as I need to every day. But after I had my 5th baby, which was just a little over a year ago, I just felt hot. I did. I went around like I look good. And you know how it is after you have a baby, you're just not in your physical top form, right? Things are bigger and saggy and every droopy and you're leaking and just all of it. But
it's just a different kind of beauty.
Yes. But I felt all the kinds of beautiful, all the kinds. Yeah. I just felt good. And so what you're saying, practicing a new way of thinking about yourself is huge because I think other people do see it. I love your story because it illustrates that so well. The people in your high school saw it. And high schoolers, that's amazing that you were able to turn that around. Yeah.
Yeah. And I kept going with it without any real intent, but that moment was so clear to me because it was an example that even if you have a funny name, even if you're living by the tree stump in a trailer, that you have to define, and abdicating or giving up our ability to define what we choose to think about is spiritual slavery. It's, you know what I mean? It's giving up all of our potential. And when we ask another person to validate us, we don't believe it. How many times have you said to a girlfriend, no, you look great. You look great. And she's like, and she gives you 20 reasons why she's a hot mess.
Yeah.
And like, sorry, I said you look good, and, we can look to social media where people will be like, my life's over. And then people will be like, no, you're wonderful. It's like, seriously, did that change that person's mind? Did they suddenly go, oh, 50 people told me how great I am. I must be great. No, it doesn't change anything. It's all up to us to change how we think. And I do have some steps of how I recommend going about this.
Well, let's talk about that. I know, go ahead and lead us into that of how you recommend, because I'm sure a lot of people, it's easy to hear, right? And say like, well, okay, well, Leta can do this because Leta's hot, but what about me? I'm not feeling it yet. So how do you get there? How do you take those proactive steps and move forward into a place where you can embrace that in yourself?
Yeah. Well, the first step is recognizing where you are, what your mental patterns are, what is really happening in your head. Are you just letting what happens come? So sometimes I tell people like, they'll be like, I'm pretty positive, but everything out of their mouth is negative. I'll be like, okay, wear a bracelet. And every time you think a negative thought, snap it. And they'll, have little welts on their arm,
Yeah.
And, so the first thing I do is everyone's going to get dressed to some level. I mean, if you have toddlers, it might just be brushing your teeth and maybe getting combed through your hair, right? But you've got to brush your teeth for at least 2 minutes to do a good job. And you got to put deodorant on. So at a minimum, we're spending 5 minutes probably getting ready.
Right.
To, doing your hair and blow drying it and all these kinds of things. So I recommend that anytime you are in your bathroom, that this becomes your chickie babe zone where you will only say things in that space that you would say to your child. Would you look to a little kid and look them in the eyes and tell them they're fat?
Yeah.
And women always say, well, of course I wouldn't. Well, the thing is, when my grandmother told me that I was fat, she was not telling me that because she didn't love me. She was telling me that because that was her truth. Things that she had focused on and worried about and obsessed so much that for her own self, that they spilled out of her. Whatever we put in is what is going to come out. And so this is ouch. We need to look at this thoughts, even if we're not going to do it for ourselves because we want to feel like we're hotness, do it for the little people that call you mom. Do it for your husband. So when you're in that space of your bathroom, you say nice things to you. And anything that we say to our subconscious mind, which, by the way, we access that through a mirror, which is a lot of reasons a lot of affirmation exercises use mirrors, is your subconscious mind will believe whatever you repeatedly tell it, and it imprints deeper when we do it into a mirror. And you're brushing your teeth, often looking at the mirror, you're putting your makeup on with the mirror, those kinds of things. So you're multitasking this concept because to say, oh, I'm going to get 5 minutes of total peace to do that's
probably
ideal.
Not. Yeah.
Yeah. Your little people will have meltdowns. But just when you're doing that stuff for you, you just say nice things to you. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to be awesome today. I'm going to be amazing. And I'm going to love these people. And I'm going to love me. And and just repeat whatever it is you want to work with. I used to tell myself when my kids were little that I was really patient.
That's so
and
good.
Somebody described me as patient later, and I was like, oh, yes, I am.
Yeah.
Yes, I am. But just being able to work on just those little teeny things. And again, at 15, it wasn't like the next day I was a total positive thinker. It came over time, but I realized it was a secret that everybody knows. But when are we going to implement it? So implementing it during that time. And I call this exercise vanity prayers. And being beautiful is not vain. When you think that you are better than someone else, that's the kind of vanity we're warned about. But this is the time that I am just taking care of me. I'm not praying for my neighbor or my children. I'm taking care of me so that I can walk out of that bathroom and my clothing and my makeup and my hair, whatever I've done to my physical body is a symbol of the work I've done internally inside my own self.
Oh, that is beautiful. I love that so much. So one question that comes up for me is when you're saying something and you don't believe it. So, okay, so what would you say to people who, are saying, like, when you were saying when you had young children and you're saying, I'm patient, but really you're not feeling it yet? Or if you're feeling frumpy and ugly and whatever, and you say, I'm beautiful, we don't connect always. We can't resonate with it if we feel like we're lying to ourselves. Now, we are all beautiful. I believe that. I really do. So,
and the thing is, not everybody can even answer that and say, yes, they're beautiful. But that goes back to what is truth? What is true? What is really true about you? And so, those of us that believe in a kind and loving God knows that he makes no junk, right? So you get to borrow his perspective if you need to.
Okay.
Does God believe you're beautiful? Does God believe you have the capacity to grow and to become better and to become more patient? I happen to believe that I can become anything I choose to put my mind to, anything that is good and right, I can ask God for help in. And in the scriptures, it says that we can ask for all the good gifts. Yeah. But what light, what goodness am I putting out there in the world, believing the lies from the poop that people just naturally put out there? Now, we all have poop. Everybody poops. I wish I wrote that book. Everybody has negative thoughts. The natural brain thinks 80% negative, right? And if you have been trained to be negative, you might be 90% negative. But you can go, oh, woe is me. I can't improve. I can't change. Oh, wait, God expects us to. And wherever we are in our life, we have the opportunity to start molding that brain of ours, that soul, that spirit, that subconscious brain, whatever, if you want to take it from a spiritual to a psychological standpoint, this principle that we can mold ourselves is true. Or we can just give up, no improvement, whatever,
Yeah.
And, that we have that choice too. And we can blame everyone else and be spiritually entitled. Or we can say, you know what? I mean, I was a 15-year-old girl it was well known that I had the lowest IQ in my family of anyone that didn't have special needs, and my brother's on the Asperger scale and was actually brilliant in other ways, but it was really well known that I had the lowest IQ and I was the least attractive. Everybody knew that. I had very awkward personality. I mean, everything you could put a list to, I was at the bottom of that scale. And as the years played out, I ended up on top of all those different aspects you might think of, simply because I took control of how I think about myself instead of just picking up the thoughts that have been thrown at my feet.
That is powerful, powerful stuff. I love that idea of choosing, of consciously choosing and, deciding who am I going to be and how am I going to see myself? Because we all get that choice. We all do. We might not get to choose what body we're here on this earth in, but we get to choose what we think about it.
And we don't get to choose the circumstances.
Yeah.
So being sad because we had unfair circumstances. I mean, how many stories have we heard of people that are raised in horrible situations end up making something great out of their life?
Yes.
Why is that? Because before we came to live on this earth, we lived with a loving God. For those of us that believe this isn't a big leap. But, sometimes I will be speaking and I will say something like, I believe that we existed before we came here. People are like, whoa. Like, where do you get this stuff? But right. It feels true.
Yes.
And I'm like, yeah. I mean, nothing I've said is something people haven't heard. The only thing that I'm putting forward that they might not have thought about is just multitask your affirmations.
Yeah. Well, it's just, so good because it gives you a time. It's very realistic. Right? Like you said, we might not be able to go like zen out somewhere all by ourselves for hours on end, but we're going to get ready. Even if it's as simple as brushing our teeth, even for a mom of a newborn, you're going to do that. You're going to do something.
Or even when you're just sitting with your newborn for a minute and you catch yourself going, what is happening to my, you know what? Look at this. Look at this little one here. I get to mold their thoughts. I get to do that. And if somebody Oh, I have a whole other story I want to tell about when I met Satan. But I met a man who dressed up like Satan, and the whole reason for that, they can go find that on YouTube. But I can share it shortly with my.
I think you better share it, Leta. We need to know. Okay. Don't leave us hanging.
Okay, so I'm at the post office, and my son drops his nappy. He's like this adorable little 18-month-old, and I reach down to pick it up, and I look to see who's also reached down to pick this up to help me out, be a good Samaritan. And I look, and I'm 4 or 5 inches away from my benefactor, and I'm looking into the face of Satan.
Okay,
like he had augmented his forehead with horns.
Oh my God!
He had contacts. He had changed every facial feature from what I could tell, including wearing a pitchfork on one ear, just in case you weren't sure. He'd filed his teeth.
Wow.
I mean, implants, and I fell back on my natural habits of meaningless chatter. And I was like, oh, what brought you to the post office? And in my mind, I'm doing that, Satan.
Right.
And I'm just kind of chatting with him for a minute. And, being a truck driver's daughter, you don't act like you're nervous when you meet someone scary. Yes. In fact, we're kind of scary, but I'd never talked to Lucifer before, at least, with my conscious eyes, right?
And not at the post office for sure.
Yeah, and not at the post office. And there's a lady in the back of the line looking at me like, what are you doing? Like big eyes, like, where's your mama to tell you to stop talking, And I just kept chatting with Satan. And then after things were comfortable and he hadn't asked for my soul, I said, so, can I ask you a personal question? He was like, sure. And I said, so why, I presume you weren't born that way. Why'd you get that done? You know? And he says, well, and he started explaining to me about the nature of the planet and how, God is dead and the planet is dead and, people with children are killing the planet. And then he pointed to my son and was like, no offense. And I said, oh, none taken, because there's a lesson in that. Don't just be offended because somebody said something contrary to you. Right. And he says, well, you have a kid, this is killing the planet. And I said, my job as a mom is to bring him into the world and bring him into life and give him opportunities to learn and grow about life, but that he will feel that everyone loves him. And you all know where I got that from. It's a thing of mine that everyone in this room loves me. In fact, if people don't love me, I'm kind of shocked because I'm like, what? Because I've been saying it for so long. It must be true, And he's like, well, that's not true. Not everybody does love him. And I said, I know that, but my job is to bring him into the world and to give him tools, a little bit here and a little bit there. And he had a kind of a look on his eye, and I tapped his arm and I said, I'm so sorry that no one did that for you.
Wow.
And he teared up. So I like to joke that I made Satan cry, but he was a symbol of what he had thought about and reflected. And as of each of us, not all of us may augment ourselves to look like Satan, but we may be sending out a message of leave me alone. I don't want you. We have our inner demons that come out. Yeah. Right. But at the end of the day, Satan did reach down to help me.
Yeah. To help your baby, no less, that he said was killing the planet. Baby. Yeah.
Exactly. And maybe, his motive was to be shocking to me. I don't know, but I'm going to look and see goodness. Right. And we had a delightful conversation in which, he's like, people like you normally judge me. And I was like, oh, people like me, which was a whole other conversation about judgment. And of course, judgment is a thing of Satan.
Right.
But, I wasn't the one that judged him. He's the one that judged me. And when we are working and confronting our inner demons, what message are we choosing to send out to the world and to, really to our own children? And our job for ourselves, for our children, is to let them know that life is good and life has purpose and everyone can love them. And those that don't are just broken, and that's okay. We give them love.
Yes. There's so much. I feel like I'm sad. We only have a half an hour and we're about out of time, and I could talk to you more. So
you'll just have to have me on
that is
again.
exactly what I was going to say. All right. There's going to be.
Oh, wait. It would have been better. You have to send me another love letter.
Okay. Leta, I love you so much, and I loved having you on the show, and I need more of you in my life. So I
would love to give your mom some more. I have so much more I want to say to moms.
Yes. Well, we will definitely have you back. But in the little bit of time that we have left, just talk to us. Any final tips for moms on any of the things we've talked about today? Just what is burning that you need to share before we go?
Well, again, talking about circumstances, we all have hard circumstances. And, some of your ladies are out there going, whatever, she doesn't get what my life's really like. I may not get it. Or you might be judging me and thinking, my life's been better than whatever, right? But I will say that our Savior, Jesus Christ, gets it. He knows what you're going through, and he loves you, and he wants so much for you, and he wants so much for your little ones that you do. And being able to be a mom is a gift. I had a hard time getting to be a mom, and I savor it, and I maybe even romanticize it, but it is a sacred, and there is responsibility, and there is nothing greater. And God knew that you would have your broken places, and he wants you to invite his son in to those broken places and to make those a teaching moment for your children, because my daughter and my son and my other daughter have benefited by these experiences. They've benefited by my hurt and my growth and how I've overcome those. And those are on purpose, and God gave them to you to teach. So don't look at your broken as not a good thing, but an opportunity to bring the atonement into your life.
I love it. I think that is key for all of us. Any of those broken places, if we use those to help other people, and most of that is going to happen within our family, but then beyond, we can, just bless so many lives. And so it starts with knowing who we are, feeling good about ourselves, allowing ourselves to really shine and to really, feel good and get rid of the poopy talk.
I do believe that he who is poopy, that's how he gets us girls.
Yes.
He gets us moms. He gets us ladies by telling us it's proud to feel good about ourselves, and don't, and hold down your light, and, minimize yourself. And then we're teaching our daughters to minimize themselves, which, to underestimate what they can achieve and what they can date and what they can marry. And, for the listeners that are in a situation that is less than, you can make it better by what you choose to think about and who you choose to become.
Yeah. That's so good. Okay, Leta, thank you so much for being here. This is such good stuff. I'm so happy to have had you on the show today and to have learned all this good stuff from you. And we will definitely have to get together again and have you back. Tell people where, if they can't wait until Leta on Moms Who Know Part 2, where can they go to get more?
Well, the great thing about having a unique name, I'm pretty easy to find. So Leta, Leta Greene, like the color with an E on the end.com is my website. And of course, I'm on Facebook. And if they let me know where they met me, they can become my friend, or they can just follow me. But I'm just here doing the same thing you guys are. My job happens to get people to clap for me, but my main job is being a mom.
Yes.
So
yes, I love it. That's a perfect way to end, because for those of us who are moms, no matter what else we do, that's our main job. So I love it. It's so true.
As I tell people, I'm a speaker, makeup artist, author, mom.
Totally. Awesome. Well, thanks again for being here. And thank you everyone for listening to Moms Who Know. For show notes and more great content from Moms Who Know, be sure to visit momswhoknowpodcast.com.